minutes on the agenda. I'm gonna call the meeting in order for Hartford City Council, meeting of February 16, 2016. Roll call, please.
Okay, Mayor Campbell.
Here.
Haugen.
Here.
McMahon.
Here.
Monahan.
Here.
And Nelson.
Here. Any additions to the agenda? If not, then we approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bill, second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Should a motion to approve the minutes from the February 2nd, 2016 meeting?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by John. Any discussion? Vote, all in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Approve bills submitted for payment. Teresa?
Okay, the bill report was in your packet, and also on the desk, there was two more bills that came in late that I added. One was for, rural water, and that's the bulk water we purchased from them. And the other one listed on there. I don't remember what it listed on there now.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Scott. Discussion. Greg, I see is that the fuel cost at the elevator again, like 1,700 or whatever?
Yep.
Do we rotate that? The fuel?
What do you mean rotate?
Of where we purchased it.
This is bulk, so they're the ones.
Oh.
The
But
other one,
the other fuel we rotate, right, or try to?
pretty much just that, BP, RT, whatever stop is, yeah. Seems like that's the quickest in and out place to go.
Any other questions on the bill? Okay, we'll vote. Mark?
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Kathy? We have Chief here for, since the blizzard didn't stop him this time.
You feeling better? You're walking?
No rush, yep. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Quick recap of January, something I don't get to say much, but it was a good month from the perspective. We had very few calls, so it was good for the public. 13 total calls in the month of January, 2 in the city limits of Hartford. So that's good for our people out and about in town and out in the country. Quick recap of January activities. Had a business meeting on the 13th of January. EMS training on the 18th, medical behavioral. We had CPR trainings on the 19th and 27th of January. And then we had quite a few members go to a 24-hour EMT refresher course on January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. February, into that month a little bit, we had a business meeting on the 10th of February. EMS training on Monday night the 15th on cardiac emergencies. And then fire training on the 24th of this month on strategy and tactics. A little bit of an update on our ladder truck. It was tentatively scheduled to be arriving around April 1. That's been pushed back about 6 weeks due to some delays in the construction process of Sioux Falls' new truck. So we're now looking at mid-May delivery on that. Also, the department in this last week took delivery on a Lucas machine. And what that is a mechanical chest compression machine for CPR. Provides a more consistent compression depth, more consistent pace, and will allow us to hopefully achieve some higher save rates than over manual compression. So we've added that to our arsenal to help the community here.
Great. Any questions for Chief? All right, thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
We're gonna, right now, we gonna skip visitors, go right into our, we have a 7:05 rezone hearing. Teresa.
Okay, well, in your packet, Roger Hugo has submitted 2 applications actually to rezone his property. He owns the current mobile home park here in town and the land right to the east of it. There are 2 different parcels, so he submitted 2 applications. Both parcels currently are zoned manufactured housing, and he wants them rezoned to community commercial. It went before the planning and zoning board last week, they approved it, and now it's coming before this board.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezone of parcel 23,840 and 23,842 from manufactured housing to community commercial.
I'll second.
Does Mr. Hocko allude to what his plans are?
If you'd like to ask him
Yeah,
directly.
please, sir. If you could, step to the podium.
Well, this is the previous zoning of the property when I bought it. When I had the water stubbed in there about 15 years ago at the east end, I was thinking about apartment houses at the time. But at this time, I don't have specific plans, but I might put up a sign, like I have on other property I own, will consider building for tenant. That's principally what it's all about.
Okay. What about the existing trailer park then that's there? I mean, is that gonna change?
I'm not sure about the future plans of that at the moment.
Okay. Rosa, you got anything to add here?
No,
Okay?
no, he just wants that property rezoned in case it's in ready, so if he does decide to build, then he is ready to go for that.
Okay.
Yeah, my plans on that property have been on hold for about 15 years, and I think it's time to reevaluate. Anything else?
Not for me.
Any other questions for Mr. Howard? All right. We'll vote. Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving to resolution 2016-1.
Okay, resolution 2016-1 is basically a resolution that will allow us to vacate the old Diamond Trail right away. Last year, on the east side of Western, we had the Diamond Trail that went back to the bowling alley property and back to the hotel back there. We shifted that road to the north, so it would line up to the new road, which is out on the west side of Western. So now that we've moved that road to the north, we need to vacate that old right of way. And basically when we vacate.
Excuse me,
them-
Teresa. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh.
This thing here means that I can pick you up with that microphone that's hanging out the bottom of your head.
Oh, okay.
So I can't hear what she's saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so basically, like I said, we put in that new road last year that we shifted north, the old Diamond Trail, which is on the west side of Western Avenue. Since we've realigned that and moved that road to the north, we have to vacate that old right-of-way. Basically, with the county, there's right-of-way still there. We need to vacate that, and then the property will revert back to the adjoining property owners. And so that's what this resolution will do, is vacate that right-of-way, the old right-of-way.
That was part of the agreement, wasn't it?
Yep, it was in the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2016-1.
Second.
Any discussion on that? We'll vote. Bill?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And we have first reading of ordinance 627.
Okay, well, as many of you know, and I gave you a copy last time we had a meeting to have you start reviewing it, but planning and zoning board for the last several weeks, months actually, have been reviewing our zoning regulations, going through it chapter by chapter, seeing what needs to be updated or if any changes needed to be made to it. Bill and Bill, and John, you're all been familiar with this process, you know, that we've gone through it, been part of it. And so now they have finally, they've gone through every chapter, made the corrections, held a public hearing. We didn't have anybody present that had any questions about it, but now it comes before the city council here. It has to be, since it is an ordinance, and we are amending it, we have to have an amended ordinance, so there'll be a first reading and a second reading, before this will move forward. So, in your packet is the new and improved, we think, zoning regulations. I did give you last week too a summary of, this kind of says what we've changed. A lot of it is, we haven't changed any of the format, we still use permitted uses and conditional uses. A lot of it's wording update, making sure it's consistent throughout, clarifying a lot of things. That summary, like I said, kind of goes through it. Travis has come with the planning and zoning board to try and answer any questions you may have. I guess the couple of big items I saw that we addressed were, basically in the first section was penalties for violation. We ran into the problem where, after Larry took a look at it, we didn't think that we could basically fine anybody for any kind of violation of this regulation without taking them to court, It didn't allow us to fine them first, we had to directly take them to court first, and so now it's been revised that allows the city to first, fine them if there's a violation, see where that goes, and then we still have the option to take them to court. A couple of the other things with the zoning districts, major ones is with the neighborhood commercial district and the community commercial district. We have lowered the front setbacks in both those districts. We had pretty big front yard setbacks, and we were thinking at that time, I think, to allow for parking lots in there or whatnot. But we've lowered that, so if they wanna move their building closer to the front of the property and put parking in the back, this allows them to it. It doesn't really matter, they don't need to have all that green space in front, So we've lowered those setbacks in those commercial districts. And, kind of clarified a little bit better, accessory buildings and fences, because different questions that have popped up, to me, people have asked, what about this, what about that, and so we've clarified those items. And I guess probably the other thing is that we've also made on our building permits a definite 1-year time frame. We used to have that, then it kind of got dropped with some different revisions, and now it's back in there again, so. I guess what questions do you have that we can?
And conditional use permit is 1 year.
Yes, that stayed the same in it.
So that language that relates to the question about levying fines and the authority to levy fines, that's addressed in 1.05.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Just walk me through an example, Travis, how that would work now, under this new language.
Just wording?
Yes.
As I understand it, it's brought to Teresa's attention via a citizen or via something that our building and code enforcement official finds. And a letter would go out, and that the person would be notified of the violation. If they don't fall within compliance within the designated time frame allotted within that notification, then the fine could be implemented. And I don't have that breakout of those expenses. Teresa
Here's
has
kind
it
of just
here.
the language, I don't have
Yeah.
the violation of that.
So, it can be subject to a fine of $500. So it's fairly substantial. It's designed to get their attention.
So that's determined then the person's in violation, they don't come into compliance with the allotted time, then it would come to the city council for treatment. And if the city council decided to levy a fine, then it appears that that person has recourse, and their recourse is to dispute
They
the
can,
violation.
Yep.
And so then, am I right, then that would possibly result in a judicial finding then? At which point in time then, the person, would have a judgment entered against them, and they would have to pay the fine, and then presumably there would be additional days then, that the person runs the risk of, if they're out of compliance between the time that the period expires and the judgment's entered. Is that kind of,
Yep, that's pretty much, yeah, the way it would be handled, yeah. Except they'd be sent a letter in a certain time to comply with it. If they don't come into compliance, it goes before the city. You can issue then a fine of what you determine, up to $500. That's the maximum we can fine for violation. That fine gets sent to them. They can file an objection form, saying if they don't, if they object to the fine. If they file that, like I said, then they'll go to court. They'll have a judge decide, if they're
And
in
the difference
violation or not.
the difference between that new language and what we had before is that this body couldn't make a determination as to what that fine ought to be. That had to really, we discovered that had to go through the
Yeah,
the
our previous-
legal process.
Yeah, kind of how Larry explained to us, our previous language says that any violation of this ordinance was a class 2 misdemeanor or something. And it didn't have any language in there as far as being able to, this body being able to subject any fines. And since we called it a misdemeanor, then that, Larry assumes, well, then that means that you have to go to court to levy any kind of, judgment against them, so.
You had mentioned, let me, for my own clarification, what's the role of the city council? The fine is implemented not by the city council, but by your office, correct?
Well, somebody has to decide on the fine, what the fine amount's gonna be.
I would presume that the city council would determine what that
Basically,
fine.
this is an ordinance, so it comes down to an ordinance violation, and so the city council would govern that.
So that's the part in here where it says upon failure of a person to pay the sum and upon conviction of the violation of this section, that'd be determined by the city council.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
See, it says $500, but the second to the last sentence says the penalties in this section may be adjusted by resolution of city council, so I presume that to mean $500 is a cap,
Right,
and the actual fine could be something less.
yeah, because a resolution is just any motion, by the council, so you guys can decide anything less. 500 is the cap, because that's the cap by codified law, maximum fine amount, so.
But the last sentence captures the other issue we had of day to day, you can do it
Right, yeah, exactly. If you-
500 per day.
Right, yeah, because each incident and each day is a separate violation.
And in that case that Bill was referring to, I seem to remember Stockwell Engineering being one that really, for lack of a better term, was the watchdog on that. Is that really changed, or is this coming out of Clark? What I'm getting to is, after 1 year, who's the entity, the person, the organization that monitors that?
Are you talking about the building?
I guess
permit?
I'm,
I'm talking about a 1-year term.
to see if their building permit, if it go
Yeah.
past the 1-year term on their building permit?
Yeah.
1.05 could be applicable to anything.
Anything, a setback
Any city
violation
ordinance that's
or
violated.
a building height violation. It's not just strictly the 1-year building permit.
Or if there were conditions with, like.
Yeah, if you
the
violate a
property,
condition.
Conditional use permit.
Right, if you violate a conditional use permit, yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right, yeah, exactly. So anything in this zoning regulation, if you violate any of these standards, this penalty could be applied.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Okay, I mean,
What is the mechanism of making sure that that 1-year criteria is upheld? I'm gonna go back to the Venice Beckerson scenario, we all are familiar with that, okay? Stockwell Engineering obviously was meeting with Venice on numerous occasions, giving them the timeline, so on and so forth. We in turn were informed, okay? Is that still the same criteria that we're looking at now?
Well, Stockwell's was involved more with the bins because we had the drainage issue, but
Right,
from
right.
day to day, Paul Clark and I
Paul
will
Clark.
keep a spreadsheet of when the building permits are taken out, when they get their certain inspections, so we keep a watch on
Okay.
that spreadsheet to see,
Thank you.
and then we highlight when they've been closed out or not, so yeah. For
Thank you.
our office, we do that, that's your question, yeah.
Okay.
And as a planning and zoning and as a city council person, it's my understanding that we are also the watchdog
Okay,
for those ordinances.
that's right.
Is there, your planning and zoning board?
Fair enough. Okay.
Any other
Any other questions?
questions for Travis?
I have a question. Page 42. Except in NRC, no accessory building shall be erected or located within any front yard or any required yard other than the rear yard.
Yeah, 4.2.
B, number 1 under B,
12.02B,
1203.
12.03B.
And I just think of the people that have a larger side yard than they do a backyard. Because if you only have a 25, I mean, what's current standard, 25 foot off the property line in the back for a structure? Well, that wouldn't,
Permanent structure.
yeah,
They're like a house.
but that wouldn't apply to another structure though.
That wouldn't apply to an accessory building, you can be closer to.
But if the house is built 25 foot off the property line, then the way this is written, if your side yard was bigger than your backyard, you couldn't put an accessory building in your side yard, you'd have to squeeze it in your backyard. Because this doesn't mention side yard, this just says any required yard other than the rear. It doesn't even mention side yard. I agree that an accessory building shouldn't be in the front yard,
Right.
but I think the side yard's left out and I think it needs to be added.
Which line item specifically?
Number 1. B, accessory buildings,
Gotcha.
number 1.
Yeah.
Within any front yard or any required yard other than the rear. That reads to me that you can only put it in the rear.
Yeah, this had a special place in my heart.
Well, it had a special place in my heart too.
And we ran through a lot of different scenarios. And I think it is an applicable standard for any of our current developments. Now, it may not be applicable to some properties in our existing neighborhoods.
I think you have far more current than you do future at this time.
But we're drafting this as we look forward, you know, we're
No, I know.
drafting this not to capture maybe all the neighborhoods that are.
But if you added the verbiage side yard,
Mhm.
then you'd get everybody, and they'd still have to fall in the building code.
If we add the verbiage side yard, we don't prevent that in the future. By leaving that verbiage out, we could capture somebody who has the need to erect an accessory building on their side yard through a variance. Is my opinion on that matter.
So,
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I mean, and I see where Travis is coming from, because anything future, this is obviously, as we act this next month.
Anything already here, there, you know, it's already grandfathered in,
Right.
so this is looking.
but it would apply to an older home in an older neighborhood that had a bigger side yard than they do a backyard, and then they could not be granted, they couldn't be granted a building permit without a variance.
Correct.
That's correct.
So then you put that on a half dozen people, whether they think that person should be allowed to build an accessory building on their side yard.
Well, that's gonna be a lot less common event than the new construction that you're trying to control. I mean,
That's the,
it's gonna be a rare event for the variance.
that was the opinion of the planning and zoning board.
It's gonna put it on those 6 people, but I think what Mark's talking about falls squarely within that list of criteria for variances that would be operative because a person had, by the nature of their yard,
Yeah.
would have a hardship situation unless they could have the variance. And if the planning and zoning board didn't grant that variance, then that person would have an appeal to the city council then.
Variances don't get appealed to city council, do they?
Oh, you're right, variance.
They get appealed to the same planning and zoning board.
I don't think so, not anymore. I think
I think they
city
still-
council took has all the
Yeah, I
appeal
thought-
prerogative over planning and zoning.
Yeah,
I thought that got changed.
Let me
I
see,
think
one of them is conditional use, and one of them is
Oh, okay,
variance.
okay.
I
Let me
can't
look
remember
at
which is
brochure.
which.
Yeah, let me double check that.
I'm kind of partial to side lot accessory buildings myself.
Your grandfather did.
For an addition on the front,
Say no to that.
Variants are heard by the Board of Adjustments, and any appeals of the Board of Adjustments are appealed to the court. Conditional uses can be appealed to the city council.
Okay. So the Board of Adjustment is the planning and zoning board
Right,
reconvening as the Board of Adjustment.
yes, yes. And variances fall under that Board of Adjustments for the,
And then the next stopping off place is the circuit court then.
yes.
so if your variance is turned down, you'd have to appeal to the same people that turned you down.
Exactly. Which is another debate, we've had it a number of times as well.
And
And you?
this having to go to court, that's controlled by codified law, because we've looked into that and to see, because at one time we did talk about it, well, can they appeal it to the city council?
Yeah.
And South Dakota law doesn't allow any appeals of a Board of
It says Board of
Adjustments.
Adjustment.
How, the only way around, and we're getting kind of off in the weeds, but the only way around that would literally be to just have a separate board
Board of Adjustment.
that didn't serve on planning and zoning. Just for that specific,
Yeah, you can make anybody the Board of Adjustments, we've designated the planning and zoning board, but
I don't know, maybe that's the answer to it. but-
How many variances have been denied and then, gone to court?
none under me
Right,
that I can
right.
recall.
So,
I don't
Well,
know.
that's
I gotta
because
look
people,
back
that's because
further.
people don't wanna take on the expense of going to court.
Yeah,
They just get turned down and they go back home
yeah.
and come up.
They go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, they go for a plan B or just
Right.
pull the plug.
Because what was easiest may not be what's best.
So planning and zoning is looking at this as a moving forward for the future, and they don't feel accessory buildings in the side yard is the road we wanna go down.
Correct. Anything else, Mark?
No, that's, oh, my only other question is, has this been ran past the attorney?
He was sent a copy, I haven't heard any comments back from him, but.
Just so we don't adopt it and then find out at a later date that this paragraph directly contradicts, you know, a page, 30 pages
Yeah, well,
back.
I'll definitely contact him before secretary to make sure he's reviewed it.
My only comments was that I was amazed at all the changes, just for the fact that I've been sat through that before, and I thought we had a pretty good when I sat on there, but I was amazed at all the changes, so it's a lot of work you guys did.
Yeah, this is my third time sitting through these
Yeah.
changes, so I'm constantly amazed as well. You think you tell you out every time, you
Yep.
capture, some things, but there's always something that comes up.
So,
I'll make a motion for first reading.
okay, thank you.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Bill. Any further discussion? Vote, Mark,
Yeah.
John,
Yes.
Bill,
Yeah.
Scott.
Yes.
All right, thank you again, guys. Going back to visitors, we don't have anybody registered to visit, as visitors, I don't believe, like
Travis.
Thanks, see ya.
Old business, review of dental quotes.
Okay, well, you recall back in January, council had some discussion, kind of reviewed the city's benefits. One of the things that you wanted me to do was possibly get some quotes as far as dental plans to possibly offer the city personnel. So I have done that. There's 4 different plans, and I've kind of put in a summary comparison of the different plans in the packet for you. They're all through Delta Dental. I tried to find a different company that offers dental plan, and you basically can't find another company in South Dakota that does. I asked other municipalities, they all use Delta Dental, and I even asked an agent, I said, is there anybody else we can go through? One agent did work with a separate company out of Iowa. He says their rates aren't even close to comparable. He says Delta Dental is gonna be by far for what you get the cheapest. So, like I said, in your packet is a kind of overview of the 4 different plans. I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you have any questions about them?
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think dental would be a nice option to offer the employees. At least paying part of it. The last 2 plans, the plan 602 and 603, the cost for that plan, if you notice at the bottom, it goes by per person and the age of that person. So if you got a family, and most of us don't got a lot of kids left at home, but say like Neil, or even Jesse, you got 2 adults and 2 kids, that could kind of add up for the employee. So that cost per person, I think that's kind of prohibiting there. I think either, the 9050, that first plan, the first column, or the plan 9070 would be a better option as far as cost wise, all the way around, the city share and the employee share. Not a big difference between those plans, just a little difference on the percentages they pay for the different procedures.
What's the cost, what's the cost to the city?
Well, basically, this shows the cost of the plan. Now, you guys were talking about possibly picking up 50%. You never made a motion to do that, but that's up to you guys if you still want to pick up 50% of it or not.
So let's just use plan 9050.
Mm-hmm.
So for a family, the monthly cost would be $103.50.
Right.
And then
And so if the city wants to pick up.
so that's
50%,
just the plan period,
Yes, exactly.
per employee.
Yeah, this is just the.
And then it'd be a matter of who's paying what.
Yeah, and then it's a
What the
matter of you
city-
guys deciding, who you wanna pay what. Yeah, these are just the cost of the plans.
Have you floated this past the employees at all?
I haven't at this point, you just asking me to.
I'm gonna make a motion to table this and give Teresa time to touch base with all the employees that would be eligible for it. And then, put it on the next city council agenda.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, we'll do.
Moving to new business, renewal of the Jamboree billboard.
Had that put on the agenda, because, for the Jamboree Committee, we're looking at, replacing the billboard, vinyl out there out on the highway, or the interstate. The one that's out there's pretty faded and getting to the point that it needs to be replaced. But before we stuck any money into getting it replaced, that we're wondering about renewing our, lease that we have with the city on that, which is
Basically, we don't have a lease, though.
Interesting choice of words.
I think last time we got it guaranteed for what, 2 years or something, a year or something.
No, you're thinking of the wrong billboard.
Oh,
This board that the Jamboree vinyl is on the last billboard, to the east. We have, that billboard was originally, when it was originally put up, the city paid half the cost and the HADC paid half the cost of it. So one side of the billboard, the city rents out, which is the side, I think it's the, it'd have to be the east side, the city rents out. And then the west side, the HADC is always used free of charge because that's considered their half of the billboard because they pay for half of it. And years ago, I know for a while, they always were advertising land down there. I don't know best they've ever put on it, but after they, you know, no longer had land in the city to advertise, then the Jamboree Committee, came to them and asked if they could put up the Jamboree vinyl, and so that's what's been up there now since then. So basically, we have no lease with, you know, the Jamboree Committee or the HADC, because that was their half of the billboard.
Well, doesn't this have to be addressed with the HADC then?
Yeah.
So
Are
we don't
you,
need,
I mean, it's
We don't need to
the
take
city
action.
doesn't have any issues with them continuing to, you know,
Craig, are you bound at billboard number 6, or would you go to would you want to go to number 3, make a difference to them, you think?
I don't think it makes a big difference then. It's
Okay.
just-
The reason I say that
I guess
is,
whatever happens is we don't wanna be sticking, you know, money into the
yeah, the
sign and have it something that come up underneath us, or we got a $1,500 sign just thrown away.
The reason I say that is because I don't know the temperature of the Chamber of Commerce right now in regards to billboard number 3, west or eastbound. I'm gonna point blank ask that question on March 9th when they meet again. Not that it is any relevance per se, but I just want to, you know, that there might be an opportunity there that billboard may become available, even though it's not due to come up until August.
I think the other 2 billboards, there's one there for the hometown Christmas and one has that advertising campaign on
Right.
it. Those 2, we do have leases with the
Right.
chamber with
And the
those,
one in
because
the-
those are city owned. Yeah,
Well-
and we lease it to them for no dollar amount, but,
The real question is if HADC has
Yeah, for
anything
this one
in the
it
hopper
is.
for that side. I mean, if they don't, then Jamboree might as well continue to, you know, talk to them and try to make use of it then.
Yeah, well, I think we'll have somebody just go talk to HADC and see if they're okay with it, and if they are, then
Yeah.
approach that way, so.
Yeah, because I mean, that's, otherwise, if you don't do it, then that ends up getting taken off, it's gonna be a blank billboard anyway, so.
right.
If HADC doesn't use it for anything.
We'll have somebody bring it up to them. So. I didn't know that much about it, I guess I didn't realize that. So, well, we'll venture on that one with them, so.
So no action on that right this time? Cleanup days, Teresa?
Talked a little more with the county, you know, basically last year we talked about, you know, when we had cleanup day, we stopped taking mattresses and we have a cost, you know, we stopped taking, you know, electronics because of all the increasing costs and it was getting higher for the HADC to put on this event. So we talked a little bit about, you know, in lieu of doing a cleanup day, could we do something like Sioux Falls does and give dump tickets to the different households within the city? So I've been talking a few times back and forth with Dustin out at the Sioux Falls landfill, and he's been talking with his commissioners and seeing if this is possibly a program we can do. He liked the idea to basically, instead of them getting bombarded one day with all these, you know, dumpsters full of garbage, you could spread this out over a few months with, you know, people bringing in their own loads of it. So he was in favor of it. He's talked a few times with his commissioners, and I got a call last Thursday that says the city of Sioux Falls is willing to give the Hartford 500 free dump tickets, or allow 500 free dump tickets. The only cost would be to us is they ask that we print up the tickets, which could be, you know, fairly minimal to have just the printing cost of it. And then the only other thing that they ask is that we print the tickets and that we set a time frame on it. They don't want it to go on for, you know, years. They wanna keep it in this budget year. They wanna keep it in probably, you know, the summer months, you know, so they're not dealing with it in the winter time. So, otherwise, they will allow 500 dump tickets to come through the landfill free of charge. So, no cost to us, no cost to the residents.
So is it things to do the 500 tickets and not do cleanup day at all?
Right, this would be in lieu of cleanup day. They wouldn't allow then the cleanup day and all the dumpsters, so. Talked with the HADC board last Friday about this, asked them what they thought of it. They thought, you know, it's a very generous offer from the city of Sioux Falls, and they'd like to try it at least to see, you know, if we could do this. at least try to see how this year goes, you know, maybe in 2, 3, 5 years, whatever, we may actually have to hold another cleanup day, cause some people may stockpile stuff, you know, rather than, you know, they just won't take it themselves, you know, so we might actually have to have a cleanup day event, but, you know, that could just be periodically maybe, and in the meantime, we could save the cost of having it every year. So they're in favor of trying this, especially since the Falls is allowing us to do the free dumps, you know, versus having to pay for all the tickets.
What, do you know what they're considering a dump ticket? Is that just a pickup box?
Basically, he said he allows, just like they do in Sioux Falls, yeah, one dump ticket. So whether you bring a pickup box of it, or if you bring a trailer, you know, load of it, it's allowed one dump at their landfill. And he said we'd have to follow all the same regulations, so
Have it tarred?
they'd have to be tarp, yep, you know, it'd have to be items that they accept, you know, no
Does that-
electronics or whatnot, but we don't accept them anyway now.
Well, that's a good question. Will they accept then the mattresses and electronics?
The only way they'll take mattresses is they'll charge the $9 like they normally do now. It's all their regulations that we'll have to follow. But last year, we didn't take any mattresses
Right.
here because we didn't wanna pay that
I'm just
$9.
wondering what the dump ticket covers, so people don't get confused.
Well,
Right.
electronics they
Elec-
take down on the bottom of Cliff Hill.
Yep, you
for
can take
free.
them for free. And last year, we didn't take electronics
Okay.
at cleanup day because of the cost to get rid of that. And they won't take, you know, hazardous material, but you can get rid of that in Sioux Falls too for free also, so. Kind of will follow the same thing that guidelines that we had at our cleanup day last year, so.
Well, I think a pickup box is probably $18.
That's the cost.
So I mean,
Yeah, it's like 15 or 18, I just took a bunch out there.
that's probably like a $9,000 gift or
I'm
better.
gonna say, so 500 tickets, yeah, you're looking at it.
That's over 9,000.
How many households do we have?
Well, we send water bills out to about 850 residents. Now, that doesn't encompass, you know, every apartment building or whatnot, so we'll kind of, you guys will have to think about how you want to disperse them, you know, whether it's, you advertise them, we have it here at City Hall, first come, first serve. I don't think you'd wanna, you know, give one to each household, because each household isn't gonna use it, but you know, but if you could advertise them that we do have these dump tickets available here, you know, free of charge, they can use, or however you wanna go about it.
I think we'd have to almost, I'd have to have a printout that Rhonda would have to check off somebody's name if they came and got one.
Sure, yeah, we'd have to keep track of it, you know, here,
But that's not a bad idea, because then you're not sending somebody a dump ticket that doesn't,
right, that doesn't
doesn't
use it,
use
that,
it.
that just gets thrown in
Yeah,
the
throw it
drawer,
in the
thrown
garbage,
away or
so.
something, I mean, keep it for somebody who uses it, yeah.
you know, and I suppose if we have 500 people, I think that's a lot. But I think if
I don't
we
think we
have-
have 500 different households that ever come to clean
No,
up.
but if you ran into the dump that you did have more than 500, I mean, that's not to say that we can't, I mean, we're still gonna be light years ahead on money.
Can't say that they wouldn't let us purchase additional tickets too.
Well, but we're printing them off. So you could strike that beforehand, that if you go over the 500, you know, that the dump tickets are X amount, even if they're regular cost, even if they're $18 a ticket, and you do another 100, that's $1,800. And that's what cleanup days cost you, $1,800.
Oh, it costs more than that.
Well, I know it does, but I mean, then you service 600 people,
Sure. You'd still be ahead.
yeah, you're still ahead.
Will they track the number of,
Yeah, they want the
Tickets they got.
tickets numbered, so, you know, we'll have to
But-
number them 1 to 500.
because, I mean, if you give out 500
Yeah, they
tickets,
don't want to be able to be duplicated. They need some
380
kind
of them will
system.
get used and 120 of them won't be used anyway.
Right.
But, I mean, will they keep track so that, let's say you did say we're gonna make one available for each person that comes in, and then they keep track. So when they hit their 500, they know it, and I don't know if there's a mechanism there where you could,
Well, I know
Purchase
they'll know
additional.
only the 500 can come through there, because it's gonna have to be one of our tickets, it's gonna
Mhm.
have to be numbered, but I'll have to ask them, I'm wondering if they'll, now that you said that, if they'll keep track of, say, only 200 came through, are they able to track, you know, how many Hartford tickets?
because it would really be nice at the end.
It'd be
if
nice to
there's
know
people
how
wanted-
many they used, or
Mhm.
got used, yeah.
I don't know, I think we ought to do it.
I do too, I just think, you know, the ticket part of it, I don't know if we have those through one of the local printers, people who do it, so we get an actual ticket.
I mean, I can check with like
Very easy.
Crystal prints up our golf cart permits and, you know, other small cleaning jobs, and
something
You
there
know,
so
it's,
that
it's a minimal charge, you know.
someone ain't sitting there at their home, duplicate a few, give it out to their friends.
Yeah,
Sioux
yeah, like I
Falls.
said, we want them at least numbered so they're not out there duplicating or, yeah.
I might have missed this, how many, how will this be distributed again, first come, first served?
I mean, that's up to you guys, I guess that's a suggestion of mine to advertise that we have them here at City Hall. Either we distribute them by household, you know, one per household, or,
But
First come, first
if you
served.
looked at it annually and did it first come, first served, and say you're through your 500 tickets by August, you could regroup, you know what I mean? You could regroup and print off another 50 or 100 to get you into the, you know, fall and I don't know.
Well, as of 2/11/15, there were 972 resident lots and 115 commercial lots in Hartford. Save that in my handy dandy dumb phone.
Yeah, but you don't, what I'm getting at, Scott, is there's not 500 people that show up at cleanup.
Oh, absolutely not, I'm answering John's
Yeah.
question more than anything, but you
Yeah.
asked that
But
earlier.
if they have to come here to get it, that will eliminate a lot of people right away. So the people who come get it should use it.
I don't think you'll get rid of 500 tickets.
I don't think we
I'd
would.
say,
either.
I
I
think
think if you,
500.
I think if you get
probably
500,
be in a
that's
situation where you get down to the 1st of August and you're sitting on 150, 200 tickets, and maybe you have to think about making another notice that, hey, you
Yeah,
know, we got a couple hundred tickets, so
Tickets
anybody
left,
else that
come
wants
get
to come in and get tickets, it's-
You open it
we're
up
wiping
again.
the slate clean, it's first
Somebody's
come,
got
first
registered
served.
too.
yeah, cause like I said, you don't have 500 households that come down to cleanup day,
You could
even when
just-
we have it right here.
You could
know.
put it in the newsletter every
Yeah, we
month,
put it in the
starting in
newsletter,
April.
Put it in the
Mhm.
paper, put it on the website, Facebook, and,
So what you're looking for is a motion to go this way.
yeah. Yeah, basically a motion to go ahead and accept the tickets from the landfill, and so we can get them printed up and.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with the Sioux Falls landfill for the 500 free tickets and have them printed. Yeah. I guess I'd like you to do some research on the tickets before we. How do we word that?
Just have the,
Tickets.
just have the printing,
Get an estimate
at
on
the
the
city
printer.
administrator's discretion.
You want that discretion, Teresa?
Yes, I do, no.
Like the big gold tickets
Yeah,
and the candy
I'll
bar?
probably get 3 folds and then
Okay.
just go with the.
All right, that's good.
And then it's gonna be, the dates will be like, as I mentioned, they're May
Like
through
I said, I need
September.
dates though, and then they do want definite.
It's time for-
They're suggesting, what is it, May
May
1
1.
through September 1?
Yeah, something like that, they said, kind of the summer
Just
months.
include that in the motion
Yeah,
too.
May 1st to September 1st.
Okay,
And then you need to include in the motion how they're gonna be distributed.
I would like some guidelines, yeah, and.
Move that it's first come, first served, and it'll be advertised in the Hartford paper and in the monthly newsletter starting in March,
One per household.
one per household.
Teresa has all that.
Gotta make sure I get like that.
Yep.
So the motion is to accept Sioux Falls landfill's offer of 500 free dump tickets for the time frame of May 1st to September 1st. Printing of the tickets will be at the city administrator's discretion. The tickets will be distributed on a first come, first served basis, one per household, and advertising of the tickets will be in the city newsletter starting in March.
Is March too soon?
I'm just trying to think, we put out a newsletter here in February, I don't think we have a newsletter in March. We have April, and that's probably soon enough, because usually the cleanup day isn't till May.
Right.
So we could just put the next newsletter.
The next newsletter, yeah.
And I'll also put it on the city website and like the Facebook sites, and we probably put it on the marquee, just on TV, you know, everywhere we can put it.
Or you can put the notice in the water bill.
Yep, that's with this newsletter, yeah, the
Yeah,
city
okay.
newsletter, so.
So that's a motion by Mark, second. Second by Bill. Any further discussion?
Sure would like to hear from Mr. Hagan about this, if you may, sir, since you've been in charge of this thing, since Christ was an altar boy.
I guess for 25 years we've been doing it and stuff, I've always said that 90% of the stuff could be set up with a garbage man and he'd take it, but lifestyle is just a little bit different. And I told Teresa this afternoon, I think the biggest worry about it is, no matter if it's our refrigerators, our irons, stuff like that, I guarantee you that over a period of time, no matter if it's 2 years or 5 years, it's gonna start getting piled up again and stuff.
Yeah, but.
I mean, we gotta try something different.
See,
Change the
but that's
style.
what I don't get though, because there's no difference in hauling your refrigerator down here than it is hauling it out to Brian's.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no difference, other than you may get a flat tire out at Brian's.
Me and you realize Brian there to take that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But 90% of the people.
Well, but that's
they
just,
don't even know the places down there. also.
but I mean, we can put that in the newsletter too. I mean, white goods can go to Oak Leaf Crushing just south of the
Electronics
interstate.
can go to Sioux Falls, hazardous
Yeah.
materials.
I mean, we
And
can,
then landfill takes all the white goods down there too,
Yeah.
and they just have a fee for it.
yeah,
Majority of people just don't wanna spend $9 to get rid of a mattress.
yeah.
I mean, so, it's just a matter of
Well, the
training.
fridge is easy, cause you just gotta drive 2 more miles.
And Brian won't take a refrigerator,
Freon.
Freon,
Really,
so it's.
guess I haven't taken no refrigerator.
But no matter if it's a car part or whatever,
Yeah,
I mean, there's just so many people that don't even know it. Same with garbage. There's never been 500 people. There's been 10, same person there 10 times, so. But there's never been 500, there's never been 500 and something. So after a couple of years, you just have to relook at it again.
But it's an event to prompt people to think about it.
Yeah.
And it's a time of the year when people are cleaning out,
Don't come
and it does get some,
first of May, and they got it stacked up all winter and stuff, and now we ain't got no place to go with it. We're cutting it off.
but here there's an option right
Like
away.
I told Teresa, we're probably gonna eliminate a dozen coming from out in the country.
yeah. Well, it's worth a try and see how it ends.
And the wording does give us the flexibility to change in time.
And the motion, you mean?
The motion, the wording of the motion does give us the opportunity to change in time, is that correct?
No, but this just addresses this year, those 500 tickets.
Right.
That's not.
That's what I'm saying, okay,
Yeah, so it just addressed those 500 tickets this year. So
okay.
I've seen it.
next year, if you wanna take a look at it again, say it didn't work, we'll reevaluate it like Terry said.
Okay,
All right, if that's the end of the discussion, we'll vote. John?
Yes.
Bill? Yes. Scott?
yes,
Mark?
Yeah.
Discussion of the Chamber of Economic Development Director's position. We had this on here, in case, we're ready to make a move on a candidate. At this time, I don't believe we are.
Make a motion to table that.
second,
Motion by Mark to table. Second by Scott. Any discussion? We'll vote. Scott?
yes.
Bill? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
Do you have any correspondence?
I don't have anything.
We get into the reports. City engineer report, Stockwell.
A new Mitch, we
A
have.
new Mitch.
Your
Yeah.
guard with that.
Couldn't make it tonight, so. I helped work on the pool project anyway, so it kind of makes sense. We finished the advertising for the project, ended up bidding that last week on the 11th. We received one bid from Dakota Land and Sod for a total of $334,200. Apparently the pool guys out there are pretty busy, it sounds like. We're looking for a few more, but ended up getting one. We did have a construction cost estimate on that of about $345,000 or so, which included about 5% contingency, so it is a little bit under budget construction wise. We've done quite a bit of work with Dakota Land and Sod here. They've done some work with us lately, with the City Parks Department out at Harmadon Park and Great Bear. They do some pretty good work. They'll have a pool guy, obviously, do the pool portion of the project. They'll just end up doing a lot of the seeding and managing and probably some of the concrete work involved with it. But based on the bids, the one bid that we did get, luckily that wasn't much more than what we thought it was gonna be, so I guess we're looking for approval on recommending Dakota Land and Sod as the low bid.
So the 334, 200, that's inclusive of contingencies and engineering or no?
Engineerings aren't, yeah, figured in
That
that,
was separate, yeah.
yeah, that's all
This would be
separate, so,
construction cost.
so.
So it is a little higher than.
It is higher than our estimate of construction costs, so, yeah, I did want you guys to be aware of that, cause there will be engineering fees on top of this amount.
So the total amount with engineering fees is estimated to be,
I thought it was around 370.
I have that in my report. Can I have a copy of my report? I just can't find my papers.
You read it, see it in your report.
Did I have it?
Was it a separate page? A separate page?
When did we let it for bid, Gordon?
Last Thursday, we opened bids.
When did we let it for bid?
Advertising.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was 3 weeks before that.
3 weeks?
Before that. Or a month before
Yeah, the
that.
month there.
Do we have time to let it for bid again, or would it make any difference?
It sounds like, yeah, they're pretty busy here this spring, and that's probably why he wasn't getting too many quotes from the pool guys, so I don't know if that would make a difference.
Construction was planned for fall anyway, wasn't it?
No,
This
we were
spring,
trying to
yeah.
get it done this spring and hopefully open June first. So,
Can
It's
they
a pretty
meet that
tight timeline.
timetable?
What was that?
Can they meet that timetable of June
Yeah,
first?
well, they,
that's what was in the
apparently,
bid
yeah,
specs,
that's how it
so.
was.
what was their time for acceptance of their bid?
I think that was, yeah, we have 30
We
days.
have
to
30
accept
days
that.
to accept a bid. But the project estimate, I do have it here. For the construction costs, what the engineers estimated was $299,648. And so, you know, we got a bid at the construction of $334,200. About, you know, a little over about
$34,000,
$34,000 difference.
What was it with engineering?
Then the total estimate with the engineering and the contingencies was $362,113. So I mean, it is under the total, but like I said,
Doesn't
this
include those.
construction cost does include the
So that,
engineering.
the total is gonna be more up around the 390, 400, just under 400.
Yeah, probably slightly under 400.
And the grant that we were getting from GFP was,
Unless we get a good deal from our engineers, I'll just pass that along.
and the grant from the GFP to apply towards this was how much again? Was that
50,000 grant.
50,000?
And what was budgeted?
Oh, I don't have my budget here with me. It was right at, we budgeted the estimated cost of it. Gave it to it's in the pool, yeah, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, we have a
Because we transferred all that money to the pool
cash.
committee. So the pool committee has 317,000 in it, plus then the 50,000 for the grant we'll get, so we have 367,000.
So by the time you figure in all engineering costs, you're gonna have a overrun of about 25,000 estimated somewhere in
30,
that
yeah,
neighborhood.
30,000, yeah.
But we're still, I mean, we're still all right.
I think for, you know, yeah, it'd been nicer to get a couple different bids, and maybe we could have got something a little lower, but, you know, we are getting a 50,000 grant, which, you know, we've accepted. We did commit to this project, so I think for the additional 30,000, I think.
Well, but I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got a substantial cushion off the land sale on Vandemark too.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we do have funds in the general fund that we'll just want you to be aware that we'll just have to, it'll project will be a little more than what we anticipated, and we'll have to use additional general funds for it.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the bid and contract for the pool.
Motion by Mark to approve the bid,
Second.
second by Bill. Any further discussion? All right, appropriations, we'll vote individually. Mark?
Yeah.
Todd?
Yes.
Yes.
Scott?
Did you say Scott?
Scott, no, I think Scott.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill?
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Can you convey to the pool committee, thank you on behalf of the city council?
The GIS and map updates, I believe Mitch was kind of, I think just met with you this week, and we talked to him about that, so they're in the process of continuing to update those. And then as far as the Mike Franken Trail project goes, still again waiting on design agreements with the DOT. That's been a slow.
Yes. I saw an email from Mitch to the state asking for any updates, that there's an upcoming council meeting, where we at. The agreements are still with their legal department, and you wouldn't give us any time frame. He keeps saying a week, maybe two, and nothing's real definite. It's ridiculous how long this takes to put in a lake trail.
It's well past ridiculous.
It is well past ridiculous.
It'd be built already.
You know, we
if they-
met last August and all agreed upon, the school, the city agreed upon this plan, and so it went to the state. It has been since August to now, it's been with the state just to approve the, plan, or, you know, the basically plan of it and get a notice to proceed, and we still don't have it.
Okay. Any other questions for the new Mitch?
Where, I can't remember what it's called, the floodway? Is it the floodway we're waiting for?
Floodway.
Floodway.
Where are we at with the floodway?
It was all, sent in to FEMA, and then about a month ago, they came back, FEMA did after the review, and wanted some more updates, some more information, and so Stockwell, I sent that into them. Of course, every time they ask for something, you get
90
another
days.
90 days on top of them for them to review it, so they're reviewing that second set of information, and I haven't heard anything since then on that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg, City Public Works report.
Streets, just been doing some minor repair and a lot of the snow equipment and stuff, just, fixing some chains and things like that, nothing major. For micro surfacing, we are opening up the bids March 3rd, and that's with the city of Sioux Falls and Brandon. We are planning on getting some more salt sand hauled in this week, the way the weather looks now, we can get some more hauled. Water and sewer, we did take a sample last week, only still too high for that pond number 3. So now we'll just let it go until the ice comes off and get some wave action off of that, bring it down. Now, we're still in pretty good shape yet. I figured, I calculated out, we've got about 60 days before we're gonna start getting nervous anyway, so. Like I said, we did work on, we actually finished up the water sewer and our storm sewer maps, and all the updates on it, and Mitch stopped by and we got them taken care of. When I was doing those, I got to thinking about this project with the Colton Road with the county, and I did talk to the county about this a little bit too. But we've got 3 stub outs going out into that ditch out there that have never been looped. And I'd like to get some prices together and see what it costs to finish that up and get that looped before they do their finishing up on it and putting a bike path, stuff like that on it. Because once that bike path would go in, we'd never get this finished out, or it'd be a lot more expensive to it. So if you guys don't have an issue with it, I'd like to get some prices together. It's about 1,500 feet of 8-inch water main that's gonna get put in, or would get put in. Very few fittings or anything else. It'd basically just be to loop them 3 separate lines together. So if you guys don't have a problem with that, I'll get some numbers together and see what it costs. It'll be below the bid limits, so we can just go out and hire somebody to do it for us. It'd be a lot cheaper than having an engineer design it and do anything like that with it, so.
So you have to educate me a little bit, when you say looped, I don't understand.
You try not to have any water lines, that would dead end, basically they just go and they stop, they're capped on the end. All three of them up there on, Sagehorn, Fairway Lane and Pineview have all got stub outs going out on them. They're, never got brought together and tied in to make a continuous loop with the water. You try to keep everything looped so it keeps moving, so you don't have stagnant water sitting pipes. They're not very, the dead ends aren't very long, but they should be looped together, so.
Is that normally something that should be taken care of by the developer?
I think back then it would have been one of those things that the developer should have taken care of it, years and years ago. Truthfully, we don't even know for sure where the lines are even at. I do know one of them's in the ditch, because if we open up the one valve, we do get water coming out of the ditch. So, whether the cap blew off on or what.
Do they run east? Do they stub east and then are capped?
Yeah, they're stubbed out to in that west ditch of Colton Road.
Yeah,
And then they just they're heading back toward each other, like north and south.
but where were they destined to go? Were they
They were
destined?
designed to be looped together, so that they would all be, one thing we did talk about was even bringing a line possibly across somewhere to get it stubbed out to the other ditch. But we do have other ways of doing that too, that we were talking about today, so.
That's something you guys can do?
This year, I can look into it. I think there's a lot of fiber and a lot of utilities in there, so if there is, I'd just soon not do it.
There's a
We
lot.
could. I think there is.
So, I think, it makes sense for you to go and investigate, obviously we can't do a motion here tonight, but.
Yeah, I'll do some more research in it and get back to you. I just wanted to see what you guys' thoughts were with it, but I guess my recommendation, let's go
So
ahead.
is that the reason the one people there, some pumps year round, because maybe that water's turned on and that stuff's just leaking into their basement?
No, that's just a wet area up there. Yeah, but I'll do some more looking into that, hopefully get some numbers together more on that, or at least get an idea what it's gonna cost to do that. I did get a call from DNR today, and they did receive our RTCRs, revised total coliform rule, sample sites, and it sounded like they're gonna approve them, so that should all be taken care of, and something sent back to me in the next few days. Park and pool, we did get the heater ordered for the pool, get that replaced here, so that should be in before the pool would open, so we get that set and up and running beforehand. Public buildings, we did finish up all of our inventory, got that all done, turned in, and electrical inspection, we had that last week, we have to have an inspection every 2 years or something like that.
For the shed, you mean?
What's that?
For the electrical function on the shed, or where?
Any city grounds or buildings that we have, we can change like ballast and stuff like that in them. We aren't allowed to rewire or anything like that, but we're allowed to change switches, outlets, things like that, ballast. So anytime we do that stuff, we have to document it, and then they come out and just inspect what you've done to make sure that everything's up to their code, so. That's all I got, unless somebody has something.
We get that new pump yet?
Oh, yeah, that pump is actually in and, then all wired up and ready to go, so. It's just, we'll keep it on the shelf now until one of these other ones go down, so.
Any progress in Neil investigating certifications?
There was a class that came up, we didn't get registered in time, cause we had a little bit of a shutdown there, and then they have to pay ahead of time on them. So there is something coming up here. When is that? It's either April or May, and another one that would be in the Sioux Falls area, otherwise the next closest place would be like Huron or something like that, so.
It'd be nice if they take advantage of it during a little bit of downtime, I know you guys get real busy
Yeah,
come spring, but.
yeah, no, I mentioned it to Molten that they need to get on top of them and keep them going, so.
Any other questions for Craig? Thank you, Craig. Teresa, you've got the finance officer report and the initial report.
Okay, well, for the finance officer report, basically, a bit of recap of our cash report and our sales tax revenue report. Both those reports are in your packet to show you where we're sitting on our cash and where we're sitting for sales tax revenue. We're up in both them a little bit. There's also a copy of, what each of the committees has in their funds right now. I highlighted kind of a few of the bills that were in the bill report. I just wanted to point out that the city sent the check for the Makita dues. I've talked with the HADC about this, and since ultimately the money comes from the city, we are paying those dues, and when we allocate those appropriations to them, we'll just subtract that payment off of it. But the Makita is gonna list the city of Hartford / the HADC as a member, so we all get, acknowledgement for that. Annual report and audit, talked with Quammen Berglund. They have scheduled the 2015 audit. It'll be done in June, they'll be here. The annual report, they will get started on here shortly, probably within the next month. I don't have a definite date on that yet. They're still trying to coordinate that. We are advertising for the summer employment. We'll take applications for the pool manager, assistant manager, and the park rec director first. Their deadline is March 4th, and then all the other summer positions, they'll have until April 1st to get applications in. Equalization, we set that, at our last meeting for March 21st at 6 o'clock. The county is gonna be sending out their packets this week to us that will have the objection forms in it that, everyone will need to fill out if they wanna object their property taxes. So we'll get those distributed to anybody who comes into City Hall, and we'll line up meeting times, and we'll start gathering that information so it's ready for the equalization meeting on the 21st. Election, right now we're taking petitions. There have been 3 petitions turned in so far to the city. I don't know how many of them are out there. They have until next Friday, though, February the 26th is the deadline, at 5 o'clock to turn them in. Once that hits, then we'll know what petitions we have for what wards. And then just a list of events on the finance officer report. And then just for my report, basically, I'll give you kind of an update on items I'm doing for the EDD. Like I said, I continue to go to the Friday morning HADC meetings. There was a Makita board meeting tonight at 5:30. I was planning on going, but I just didn't have enough time today to get everything done that I needed to, so I didn't go, and I need to be back here anyway. I would have had to have left early, so I did not attend that meeting. The IHADC mainly is working on right now, they have their annual meeting come up. It'll be next Thursday, the 25th, the Miller Funeral Home. Council's all invited, city staff, the P&Z board, and then they have invited several developers, chamber members, are all part of the HADC, so they'll be holding that next Thursday night. So if you'd want to come out, they'll be having that. Chamber, they're having their monthly meetings on the second Tuesday of the month. I haven't heard too much on them. I can't attend those because of the P&Z meeting, but I have heard that Vince is doing a good job at keeping the meetings coordinated and down to an hour, and I've heard they've started several new committees as far as like a ribbon cutting committee and a membership committee, and so sounds like it's kind of going in a good direction.
Yeah, don't
Would
get
you
your
agree?
event committee chairperson sitting over there.
Well, there you go, perfect. We've got new committee chairs right here, so.
Had to sneak that in, Rhonda.
Yeah.
So that's good. So it sounds like, yeah, they're doing well. And then I did have a little write-up about the Colton Road project, and did send you guys all out an email to kind of update you on some more information about that. I have reached out to the Bike and Rec Trail Committee and asked if they know anybody along there. I gave them a list of names that they can help promote the trail or answer any questions to them. Please reach out to them, and so hopefully, the property owners along there will get their questions answered and hopefully feel comfortable with the project. I mean, it is a good project. We're getting a good break on the cost of the project. It's keeping people from being along the road, or on the road when they walk, so hopefully those property owners there will be more appeased to it. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Teresa, for all the work you've been doing with your 3 hats you wear.
Sure. I'm out of the office the rest of the week, I'm telling you that.
Take the rest of the week off, right?
Rest of relaxation.
Any questions for Teresa, otherwise? Thank you again.
Yep.
All right, I don't have anything for executive session. Anybody have anything for?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I will send you a copy of the approved application for your file. Oh, thanks. You're so good. All right, thank you.
That's aside from, okay.
Yes. Kristen?